Hi again, everyone. It's always good to be back with you all. Alright, for this one, I used Ranger ink colors Butterscotch, Lettuce, and Espresso. Also, the Jacquard Pinata ink Brass, and a mixture of 91 and 99% alcohol, just because I had mixed them together, not for any particular purpose. Alright. I told y'all in my last video, I think, I wasn't going to do a whole lot of sort of teaching and explaining on this one. This is nothing that you all haven't seen me do quite a few times on other videos. No new techniques or anything here. And I wanted to explain with the colors. I mentioned this is part of a 3 painting challenge that I had gotten from my grandchildren. I asked them to pick out colors for me, thinking that, they were going to go with their favorite colors. I asked for three different colors, one from each of them, and was expecting colors like, blue, purple, and black, or, something along those lines, things that are their favorites. Well, instead, they got together without me hearing, decided they were going to pick out what they thought were the ugliest colors that I had in my ink boxes, because they wanted to challenge me. They decided I needed a challenge and to see if I could create a decent looking painting out of what they thought were the ugliest colors that I had. So, which is the reason I'm using these. Not that I think they're particularly ugly, but they're not my color choices, and they know that. They went with things that were, far outside of what I would normally pick, and also things that they just don't like. They just didn't care for these colors for some reason. So that is why I'm using these colors. And this was just a quick one. Was just trying to meet their challenge here after I got done laughing over figuring out what they had done, because when I asked them about it, was like, these are not the colors I was expecting from you all. Yeah, they laughed. They thought that was really funny. Said, yeah, that's because we decided you needed a challenge, and explained to me what they had done. So, I don't know. You all can decide if you think I met the challenge. They did. They were, in fact, one of them, Zoe, our oldest granddaughter, she came in right as I was finishing up with this painting and looked at it, and she's like, "Oh, good grief, you're just too good at this. We tried to pick out the worst colors we could find, and you still made a good painting out of it." So, so to them, I met their challenge. Okay. I did want to explain about, I know my schedule with posting is non-existent. There is no schedule. I know that it's frustrating for some of you. You never know when I'm going to be posting or how long it's going to be between videos, sometimes 2-3 weeks or more. And it's just, since the beginning of 2020, early on, somewhere in February, maybe March, things have just been crazy. Things are always busy for me. Most of you know that have been watching me for a while, we are raising 2 of our granddaughters. They are getting ready to turn 11 and 12. But I homeschool them because we travel so much, or had been traveling so much, so we didn't have our family, broken apart for months at a time. So that just keeps me busy doing that. But then, my husband had developed sudden onset rheumatoid arthritis, which seriously slowed him down a lot. Was leaving me a lot more things to do than I normally would have had. And just a lot of stuff going on. And then with the moving from the state of Washington back to North Carolina, has just been, that was just crazy. Trying to get everything packed and loaded and drive cross country and then, unloaded and unpacked and put away here has just been nuts for me. And so along with some other things that have been going on, have just really been suffering from some burnout lately with everything. I have the urge to paint, but when I come sit down in here and look at stuff, it's just, my brain is just, I can't think of anything to do. My brain's just gone from everything. And it's gotten more and more difficult as I get more subscribers and more viewers. It does get more and more difficult to kind of find the time to keep up with comments and questions. This will be my 100th video posted. Woo! That's a milestone number. And so I'm still getting comments on almost every video I've ever posted. Because, a lot of you go back and watch. If you watch one of my newer ones, then you go back and watch my older ones get caught up. And so, but it does get, I love doing it. I don't want to make it sound like I don't want to answer your questions, comments, because I do. I just want to have more time to do it. But it gets a little hard for me to keep up with, because there are times that it's just days at a time that I don't have time to even look at my computer, period. So anyway, I had hoped to have this one out a couple of days ago. Our grandson's 10th birthday was this past week, and we decided to take everyone to Atlanta to a Braves game for his birthday, and we had a blast. But I didn't get a chance to get this voiceover done before we went. So that's part of the reason that I'm just now getting this video up and posted. We got back Thursday evening, but then Friday, of course, there's laundry and all this to catch up with. And then Saturday, we actually had his birthday party here at our house. And that ended up taking all day, setting up and then doing the party and then cleaning up for that. So, anyway, now, there's all my excuses. So, I apologize to you all who have been waiting and waiting for an answer from me, from a question. I will do my best to, get back in there and start trying to get some things answered. But, unfortunately, it's almost time for us to start school back. So, that's going to be another sort of drain on my time. But I'm going to try and get myself a little better organized. So this is my my excuse video, so I'm sorry. I should have warned everyone at the beginning. If you wanted a tutorial out of this one, it wasn't really going to be. But like I said, there's not really anything different that I'm doing. And just so you know, this is me dabbing up the little moisture beads that had formed on the painting right there. Because I'm sure I'll get a question about what I'm doing with that paper towel or whatever in there. So, keep on commenting, asking me questions. I read them because I get notified by YouTube when one comes in, and I'll read it if I've got my phone right there to where I see my notification. But I don't get it, I just very seldom have time to sit down and have a long block where I can catch up and answer everything. So, I apologize if you've been waiting forever for something from me. You can always try asking again. Maybe I'll see it. If it's something you really need to know the answer to, maybe I'll have time when I see it to go ahead and answer it. Because every now and then I can do that. I'll get a comment and just happen to have, 5 minutes free to where I can answer. And a lot of y'all's questions, they do take me quite a while to answer. They're not quick answers, and so I'll put it off, and then life steps in, and all of a sudden I realize it's been 2 or 3 weeks since I read a certain question and I still haven't answered it. So I apologize for that. But honestly, most of y'all's questions, literally 99%, are answered in some video or other. But the problem is I can't always remember what video things are answered in, because I just have such a tendency to throw in tips and hey, this is what I'm doing here, this is how you can fix this, that as I'm painting. It's just what crosses my mind to be sure to tell you all. So I know you don't want to go back and like watch every video trying to find the answer to one particular question. But, you know, if this is the first video of mine that you have ever watched, before you know, bombard me with questions, try watching just a couple of the others. Most of them I do try and explain a lot more than what I'm explaining here, which is zip. So, and if this is your first time watching one of my videos, they're not all like this. I do try to make most of them at least somewhat of a tutorial, and you know, give you tips all the way through. I do try to do that. This is not indicative of the way I do most of my videos. So I just, you know, had these things that I wanted to sort of share and explain. And since this was a fairly short painting with absolutely nothing new that I'm doing in it, where I know I've pretty much explained all of this before, you know, I did want to take my opportunity to bore you all to death with my excuses. Sorry, that's the only word I can come up with right now. Alright, so, well, I'll skip to this just a little bit here on the video. For those of you all who have not seen one of my videos before, who are not familiar with this technique, basically, so what I did on this one was, as you saw, I just put down the ink first, and I'll put down a drop or two of ink, a drop or two of brass, depending on how much I want in it. But don't go overboard with the brass, because you really can. Usually 1 to 2 drops, 2 drops max is about all I use, unless I'm working a really big area. So you put down your ink, and then, you know, just a drop of the brass or whatever metallic you're trying to work with. And then the alcohol, I try to squirt up under if I'm spreading out brass particularly. Sometimes I'll go around, it depends on what I'm doing, but it does kind of help lift that brass up if you can kind of get your little squirt of alcohol to go up sort of under your ink, so that it just lifts that stuff a little. I don't know if that's making any sense or not. I hope so. So, and then you do not have to use this Revlon brand hairdryer that I do. The reason that I use it is because it's 500 watts. Do not go over 500 watts unless you really want to have issues moving your stuff without blowing it right off your paper. Oh, speaking of paper, this was done on Grafix. This was done on Grafix opaque white craft plastic, I think. Pretty sure. It was either Grafix opaque white craft plastic or Grafix Dura-Bright white. I can't remember now, and I'm really sorry about that. So anyway, I put my alcohol down and then just move it. But you always want to keep alcohol on that outer edge if you want a really soft, wispy look. You don't want to let, you know, heavily pigmented alcohol, where you've got a lot of ink in it, be the last thing that comes out. You can see on the part that I haven't worked yet what it's going to look like if you have a lot of ink towards your outer edge. So you want to keep your alcohol out there and, you know, sort of blow back and forth until you have it the way you want it. But if you let that dry towards that outside edge, it will leave you a hard edge, not a soft, wispy edge. Oh, back to the dryer. It has a cool setting. The cool setting is what I use almost, you know, probably 95% of the time. The only time I ever flip it over onto a warm setting, or the heat setting, is if I need to dry a spot more quickly. If you do that, be really careful. Remember, this polypropylene that we paint on, the synthetic art papers, it's basically a sheet of plastic. A very smooth plastic is pretty much what it is. So you've got to be real careful not to warp it with the heat. Some stuff warps easier than others. If you're using Yupo, if you're using the heavyweight Yupo, it definitely does not warp anywhere nearly as easily as some of the others, but it's also more expensive. So, it's kind of a 6 of one, half a dozen of another there, what you want to do, what you want to use. Trying to think. The hair dryer. It was, this is just a styling brush hair dryer that I took the brush attachment off of to use. Now, if I know some of you in Europe, and maybe Australia, I can't remember, but have told me you all have found a 250 watt hair dryer there that's exactly like this and has a cool setting. That would be awesome. For those of you in countries where you can find one, I haven't found one in the US anywhere yet, but if you can find one, that would be great, because the less power you have, the better for your airflow. I've mentioned in other videos, I did get a variable speed foot pedal for mine finally, and that has helped tremendously when I need a lower airflow but don't want to use a heat setting. The cool on this does only blow like the high airflow, which I've gotten used to and doesn't bother me at all now, but it is trickier to learn because you do. Sorry, I just realized my dryer sent my camera out of focus there, or it got up on there. Sorry, y'all, I'm getting a little bit hoarse. Still trying to get all my voice back from the ball game. Awesome ball game. It was so good. Braves won in the bottom of the 11th inning. It was fantastic. We had the greatest time. Anyway, back to the painting. So, just practice. That is my absolute biggest advice, is practice. And I think I've said this before, but I get so many comments and messages from people saying, I don't know how you do this. I'm just going to have to give up because I've done 2 or 3 paintings now and they're just terrible. They don't look anything like yours. No, they're not going to, because I have been doing this for 2.5 years or something now. My first many paintings were awful. I threw them away. I mean, they were just terrible. At the time, I didn't know about anything but Yupo, so my papers were stained, and I couldn't save them, and I felt like I was wasting so much money, and, almost gave up. And I'm so glad that I didn't. I mean, it's just, you'll even see in some of my first videos on here, when I look back at them, I wonder what on earth possessed me to even put those videos on here, other than people were just begging me to put videos up because they wanted to learn how to do this. So, and I don't even like a lot. I don't like all of my paintings now. I mean, that's just part of it. You're just gonna have things that you don't care for, but probably, 90% of the time, somebody else is gonna love it. And we just all have such different tastes that, it's like these colors, not my color choice, although not as bad as I was kind of expecting it to look. I actually did kind of like it once I got done with it. But somebody is going to absolutely love these colors, and they're going to match perfectly in their house. And, and it's the same way with the design and the shape and all that. Even if it's one that I don't particularly care for, somebody else is going to like it. So don't give up. It just takes a lot of practice and a lot of patience. And, I experimented a lot when I was learning to figure out what was going to work best for me and what I could make happen with the way that I wanted to do things. So, anyway, don't give up. Hang in there. Practice. Get some photo paper. Not good photo paper, not store brand. Get store brand. I use either Staples or Kirkland's or Office Depot. Use the back side of glossy inkjet photo paper and practice on that. It's almost as good as the synthetic art papers. It's a little bit different, but not a ton, and the inks will move on it very similarly, so it's great for practicing. So get some of that. That will help you so much with saving money as you're learning. Well, I am just about done here with this, so I hope I have not completely bored y'all to death. I know I didn't give you a whole lot of great information about this one. My next video will be another in the challenges that my grandkids met me. This time they picked out what they thought was the worst color combination. Not just the worst colors, but they thought it was a horrible color combination, that there was no way I would be able to make anything look good at all out of the colors that they chose for me to use. So there's your warning for that one. It's going to be rather interesting. So anyway, well, I hope y'all enjoyed this. If you haven't subscribed, I'd love to see you subscribe and hang out here more. And I promise I do try to give plenty of tips and advice and a little bit of tutorial more on how to get the look like this, that kind of soft, wispy, abstract look. Because that is my favorite style, the ones that have the very soft edges towards the outside. So anyway, hope y'all enjoyed it. I love all of you. I'm sorry I'm so nutty and horrible about posting and answering comments and all that, but I do love y'all. Y'all mean the world to me, and every comment is important to me, and I will do my best to start trying to get caught up on some of that. So, well, I hope I see y'all around here again real soon, and I will be back as soon as I can with something else. I love you all. Have a great day. Bye.